In this video tutorial, I will be completing the report for a speech evaluation. I'll go ahead and open up the report right here. And because I actually did an evaluation today, and I do need to actually write a report, I'm going to leave some of the student information a little bit blank or not completely fill it in, just because I actually do need to write the report. Instead of having to go back and change everything, I'm just going to leave a few things kind of blank. So when you write your report, fill it all in like you normally would, but just bear with me because I actually have to write a report. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of this information. Like I said, I'm going to leave a few things blank to protect the privacy of my student and to make it easier for myself when I have to go back and actually change everything once I'm done with this tutorial. So primary exceptionality is, let's see, developmentally delayed and additional services. Alright. This report was completed as part of a reevaluation, and we got consent for speech, and the date is today. Alright, and there was no bilingual evaluation, and the formal test that was administered was the clinical assessment of articulation and phonology. Alright. So I've got student information filled in as much as I want to for the purpose of this, and I have the report information. Alright. So, observations. I actually have tried to become less of a bag lady, and in doing that, instead of bringing all of my papers home to write this report, I took a picture of some of my documents so that I don't have to carry papers in bags and tote bags around. So I'm just going to thumb through my iPad where I have pictures of all my results to go ahead and take a look. As far as observation goes, so far for this evaluation process, I haven't done any observations. So for right now, I'm going to leave the observations section blank. And if I end up not doing any observations, then I'll probably just highlight and delete this title so it doesn't show up when I print it. Parent, student, teacher input. I did provide the teacher with a speech checklist, and then a checklist as well for the student to bring home to the parent to fill out. But I have not received those back yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in the auto text and put those blurbs in there, but I'm not going to fill them out yet because I don't have the information back. So our top category is bilingual, so I'm going to scroll down a ways because I know that speech is down towards the bottom. Let's see. Language, observations. Alright. So I know I've got this parent-guardian checklist that should be coming back to me soon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this blurb to enter it in. And I'm going to choose all this information later. I guess I can choose this now, parent, because I sent it home to parent. The date that they completed it and the results I can't enter in yet because I haven't gotten them back. So I'll just put that in there and I'll come back to it another time when I get those papers back. And then I'm also going to go down and do the teacher checklist. So teacher checklist for speech. So there's that. The date it was completed, the results, I don't have that quite yet. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it as is, and I'll come back to it later. I'm going to hit backspace just to kind of make everything look uniform over there. MTSS and therapy data. Let's see, evaluation results. This is the main section that I want to enter in some data or some information and share with you. So I'm going to click in the evaluation results section, and I'm going to go to my auto text and look for the CAAP. That was the test that I gave the student. And I actually haven't written a report in a few weeks now, so I feel a little rusty on my report skills. So bear with me. Let's see. Speech and articulation. Alright. Let's see. You know what? I did an articulation quick screening. It's back in my office, but I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and click on this and put it in my report so it's there, and then I'll fill it in when I get back to work later. So I'm going to put the articulation quick screening in there because I know I did that. I'll fill that in later. Let me come back up here and go back down to the speech section, and let's see, I did the CAAP. So I clicked on the CAAP auto text. I'm going to scroll back up, and let's see, evaluation results. There's the articulation quick screening. Here we go, the CAAP. Alright, so the CAAP was administered on today. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go ahead and enter in my standard scores. So let me pull up that document real quick so I have it in front of me. Alright, I'm going to click on the table. I'm going to go to Design, Edit Data, and I'm going to go ahead for the consonant inventory. The student got a score of less than 55. So this is a nice example. How do you graph less than 55? I haven't thought about that yet, so I guess I'm thinking about it now. I think what I would do, let's see, what happens if we do this? What if I type in less than 55? Like you would report on the front. What happens? Okay, nothing happens. Good to know. So that's an interesting thought. I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put 55 so it has something to graph, a number to graph, and then I will make a comment that says the standard score was less than 55. But I think for visual purposes, I mean 55, less than 55, obviously there's numbers in between, but at least seeing 55 and how that reflects below the 77 mark is a statement alone. So I'm going to do that, and the school age sentences score that I got was also less than 55, so I think I'm going to put 55 in there as well, and then I'll X out of this. So that's a nice visual. Even though the student scored less than 55, this is still a nice visual. And let's see. So that's good to go. So here, where I actually have the option to put in some information, it says the consonant inventory standard score. I'm going to go ahead and now specify that it was less than 55. And I'm going to put the same thing down here as well. And the confidence interval was, let's see, I didn't get any confidence intervals. So I'm going to go ahead and put NA, because when I checked my score in the table on the test manual, there was no confidence interval for such a significant score. So I'm just going to write NA. And then standard deviations from the mean. This is definitely greater than 2 standard deviations below the mean. I could get more specific about it if I wanted to type in and change that, but I think for right now I'm just going to leave it like that. And let's see. The phonological process checklist summary. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in some information from here. I just had to make sure I had my data in front of me. Alright, so I've clicked on the table, and I'm going to go to Design, and I'm going to go to Edit Data, and then, let's see, final consonant deletion, the percent of occurrence. So I'm going to go through and enter in my data that I collected. So that was 0, I'm just pressing the down arrow on my keyboard. 22, 33, 71, 0, 40, 0, 20, 0, and 0. All right. I'm going to X out of that, and there's my graph for my phonological processes. And I'll go ahead and scroll down. Standard scores. So for checklist 1, I am going to put, let's see, I didn't collect a standard score on this one actually. I felt like I had enough information. This was a reevaluation. It wasn't an initial. And I felt like this information alone provided enough. I felt like it was enough information to show his areas of need. So I'm actually going to delete this table. I'm going to click on this little arrow area. I'm going to right click. I'm going to press delete table. Alright, so that's out of my way. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's out of the way, and I just need a quick little kind of summary statement about how the student did and what these results indicate. So I'm going to double check. I'm going to look over here and double check my tables, look at my standard scores. I'm going to look at my phonological process table. And I'm going to say that these results indicate that less than adequate. I'm looking at my data right now that I have from my test, just to kind of, you know, give a little positive, give a little area that needs to continue to be targeted. So the student demonstrated the ability to produce demonstrated difficulty producing S, C, K, G, and V. Those were some sounds that he had trouble with. Demonstrated difficulty producing S, Z, K, G, and V. I'm thinking on the spot. While I'm recording this, I'm thinking. So, usually I have more time, but I feel a little pressured to try and think of something quickly. I haven't pre-recorded this before. I haven't mapped out everything I'm going to write. So, I'm thinking. Let's see. The following phonological processes were determined to be significant. And that would be, he had, significant was gliding and fronting. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Once I proofread my report, I may come back and add some more things, but for right now, I'm going to leave that as is. Okay, So let's see. In the evaluation results section, I have a spot for the articulation quick screening, which, like I said, I did, but it's back at my office. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'll enter that in later. And then I've got the CAAP, and I filled that information out. And I filled out this graph, and I did what the results indicate. So let me see, what other documents do I have that have some data on it that I should report on? Oh, the oral peripheral examination. That would be a good one to enter in. Okay, so I'm going to go back down. It should be in the speech section, I believe, but we'll find out. Oral peripheral examination, here it is. Okay, an oral peripheral examination was completed on today. Results indicate that so results of the examination indicate that the student's oral structure is adequate for sound production. His lips, mandible, teeth, tongue, palate, nasal cavities, and respiration were all judged to be within functional limits. And that information, the lips, mandible, teeth, tongue, palate, like all of those are right there on the oral peripheral exam. Number 1 is lips, number 2 is mandible, so I thought that might be a good way to just kind of summarize that everything was fine. And the student was asked to produce when I asked him to do that, he had some difficulty. Okay, so he had some difficulty producing that, so I just kind of want to add that in there. Alright, oral peripheral exam. Let's see. What other documents do I have with information? I attempted a student interview. He's only in kindergarten, so I felt like the student interview was kind of hard to complete. And that would probably go at student interview observation. So I'm actually going to scroll back up to the observation section, and I'm going to go ahead and find that student interview observation for speech. Let's see. Student interview observation for speech. Okay, a student interview observation for speech was completed on today. Results indicate that the student is let's see. I asked him a couple of the questions, but I felt like some of these questions are more appropriate for older kids. And due to his poor communication skills in general, he had a hard time answering the questions that I was asking him from this form. And sometimes I try and adapt the questions to make them more kindergarten friendly or, you know, appropriate. But this one was kind of challenging for me because he basically looked at me and said, I don't know. So I'm going to just kind of note that the results indicate that the student is not aware of his speech difficulties. He frequently responded to So I'll put that in there just to kind of emphasize that's how his responses were. He was like, I don't know. Okay. What else? I'm going to hit backspace real quick just because I'm a little OCD and I want that to kind of line up better. What other data do I have? I attempted an intelligibility rating. So I think I'll put that in there. Student teacher input MTSS therapy data. I'll put it under evaluation results. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put it after the articulation quick screening. Me personally, the articulation quick screening is informal. The intelligibility rating is informal. And the clinical assessment is formal. So I think I want to keep my two informal things on top. You can put it wherever you want though, that's just me. So let me see if I can find that intelligibility rating. Alright, I see some speech stuff here. Speech and articulation, intelligibility rating. So here it is, an intelligibility rating. Okay, so here's something. I just clicked on this intelligibility rating. But when I attempted it, I documented that due to student fatigue and his distractibility that I could not complete the intelligibility rating. So I actually don't want this auto text because it wants me to put in the percent intelligible and tell whether it's like adequate or below, and I really didn't get that information. So to be honest, I'm going to hit undo to get rid of it. And I'm just going to note that an intelligibility rating was attempted on 9/23/15, although due to student fatigue, the rating could not be completed. So I'm just going to add that in there. Alright. What else am I missing? Let's see. I'm going to go back up to the top real quick and double check. Observations, the parent-teacher input I'm going to get later. MTSS and therapy data, I don't have any of that in front of me right now, so I think I'm going to leave that and come back to it. For the therapy data, I just might make some notes that, in fact, I'll get it started. Based on therapy data, the student demonstrates, and then I'm going to add in whatever data I have. But I don't have that up, and because I'm making a video, I don't want to pull it up so everybody can see it. So I'll come back to that one. Evaluation results, I've got that information in here. I've got the quick screening, the intelligibility rating, the CAAP, and all of the CAAP's good information. And I'm going to go down to the summary statement. So before I enter anything in, I just want to double check because I think I have a general kind of summary introduction. Okay, so I'm going to click on that one. Let's see, my backspace just to keep everything simple. I'm not going to enter in the student's name because I'm making a video, but go ahead and do that. He's a 5-year, 9-month-old male. A reevaluation was completed for articulation after review of, I actually wasn't there when the consent was signed. I have no idea, but I'm going to go along with probably therapy data just based on his data. The student does demonstrate academic difficulties within the classroom. Alright, so based on observations, checklist, standardized or alternative measures, MTSS information, the student demonstrates the following strengths. Alright, so strengths of the student would be producing P, B, T, some space, B, T, and D at the word and sentence level. And the following weaknesses: producing, he had trouble correctly producing L, R, let me go back up and see where we left off with him. Gliding and fronting. Oh, and he had trouble producing, let's see, K and G. At the word and sentence level. I'm going to leave it at that. I think I might go back and add a little bit more information, but I feel like this video is dragging on, so I want to just kind of get it done so you can see. I'll enter in his name later. Indicates that his communication skills do impact his ability to perform and or function in the typical learning environment. Alright, so as far as speech goes, I'm going to say yes. He does meet our qualifying criteria for speech, although it's a team decision. So language, that wasn't evaluated. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter in today's date, and I will go ahead and type in my name later, and I will sign. The only other thing I want to show you is this click here to enter text. Double click in that area and your prompted last name, first name. So again, later I'll go back and enter that in on my own time. So I hope that this was helpful. I know there was a lot that we did, and I know this was a long video, so props to you for sticking it through if you did. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it.